Welcome to another episode of Homegrown the Series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with poet, visionary, father, and husband, and most importantly, Chicagoan, Harold Green. Harold, welcome to Homegrown the Series.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, man. I'm happy to have you, man. So my first question is, when did you realize your voice was an instrument?
You know what? I actually think early on, like sixth grade, I started writing raps. And I was a big fan. I've always been a big fan of music. And I think at that time I was really into I was really into Pac. I was in Bone Thugs and Harmony. It was a lot of different fields. I would watch the box every day before school and whatnot. And I started writing raps, and I felt really good about my creativity and writing wise. And I was really trying to find my own style, as far as the spitting part went. But I think when I really tuned in, and I kept writing from then on, but I think, realized how strong my voice was uh, senior year of high school. That's when I first started writing poetry. Like I had been rapping, like here and there. I was like a part of little, friend groups, and we would rap at home, or we would make little mixtapes or do little stuff. But when I knew, like, oh, this is like I can hit you over the head with this. It was when I started doing poetry. You know what I'm saying? Um, and that was, senior year of high school.
As young black kids, we've all attempted to rap.
Oh yeah.
I won't put myself out there, but do you remember your first rap name?
H2O. I thought it was
H2.
so clever because I could flow like water.
Woo!
Yeah. And it was, the whole H thing, you know what I'm saying, with Harold and all that. And like, then at that time, like Drag On had came out with the opposite of H2O album and all that. So I'm like, oh yeah, no, my name getting out there. Here we go. Thing about me, dog.
So what you said Bone Thugs, you said Pac. Did you start off as an aggressive gangster rap, or was it like a smooth lyrical miracle kind of rap?
What was funny about it, I definitely had some explicits in there, and my mama found my journal one day and was like, no sir.
Yeah,
because it couldn't have been, it wasn't gangster, it was just like nah dog, no, stop, like, you know what I'm saying, like my mom, man, like she wasn't playing that, you know what I'm saying, like my mom was the type, like if my grades like fell off just a little bit, like, and when I say fell off, I mean went from straight A's to like it looked like I was gonna get a B or something. Like she had me I remember this one school year I don't know what I was doing, but she had me reciting Psalms 23 10 times in the morning before I went to school. Wow. You know what I'm saying? She would have me listening to like Johnny Coleman's sermon tapes, like my mama ain't play, man. You know what I'm saying? Like my daddy was there too, but he was just, he wasn't that wasn't
the studies,
that didn't bother him like it bothered her, but she seen them explicits and she's like, no. And I was pissed off because I'm thinking I'm writing bars. I'm thinking I got heat.
You were.
She didn't took my journal. You know what I'm saying? So I'm upset. I called her at work like, "Hey, you took my journal?" And she got the black mama going. Yes, Harold. Because she at work. So and I'm upset. I'm like, "Are you see why you do that? How could you?" We'll talk about it when I get home. And I'm thinking I'm finna just leave.
That growing up in a black household, my brother bought Mysticals. I think it was a Shake Your Ass, whatever album was Shake Your Ass was on, and we couldn't buy explicit CDs, so I had the blueprint, the clean version of the blueprint, and I'm like, "You taking it out of it, Mom?" But my brother brought Mystical into our home, and it left that same day. She said, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's music." But I did this is I think before that this spoke to your creativity and your just your love for family. You didn't have enough money to get Christmas gifts, so
Absolutely.
you wrote poems for your family.
Absolutely. I
I-
worked at I worked at Finish Line, right? That was like my first real job.
that's a
And
dream job though.
what? Man, dog, my manager was so cool, man. She used to let us like have J's before they came out. Like when we get them to the store, she
Hmm.
let us rock them like that day before so we could look like, D-boys, you know what I'm saying? Like people
Right.
like, how you what the and man, one of my coworkers, she used to have these very firm rules, like as long as you don't do this, do that, and the third. This fool wore it to the River Oak store. And they asked him where he got it from. He's like, oh, from my store over there. So we couldn't do it no more. But anyway, Finish Line
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I love working there,
yeah,
but all of my money from my paychecks went right back to the store.
for sure.
And so what ended up happening at Christmas, I didn't have no bread. So I was like, you know what? I can write though. So I wrote my family poems.
Hmm.
And the way they reacted, man, because she was after that. But yeah, that was like the first like gifts, as far as me realizing like, oh, these are flowers, you know what I'm saying? Like my sister was crying and like my mom was crying, my dad. And the funny thing about my dad, he actually was the first one that wrote poetry like for me. Like so he would
Okay.
write it for me and my sister, and he would call us like prince and princess and stuff like that in the poems, and it just had a regal theme always. And he was just so proud, you know what I'm saying? You could tell when your pops hug you. This is a
Hmm.
different type of thing in that
Yeah.
hug, you know what I'm saying? And from the way the visceral reactions that they had, I knew that I had a gift, you know what I'm saying, that could like really move people in a certain way.
You excuse me. You just spoke to it about a proud dad, a proud father.
Yeah.
I've noticed it's a common theme in your poems. You talk about
Yeah,
love, you talk about family, but you plant seeds for your sons. Can
yeah.
you speak to that?
Man, they are so my boys are 6 and 12, and I was writing before they got here, and with them coming here has boosted my creativity and my inspiration and motivation even more. And I always am trying to be an example, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying, and be I don't need them to, I don't need them to be poets or writers or anything of that nature, but I need them to know that their father loved them that much, that he was willing to make sure that he created opportunities for them, because they come, they see me rehearse, they see me put on shows, they see all of that stuff, and they see the hard work, and
mm,
and they see me express my love to the world, because see, I think that's another thing that I'm trying to break down, these gender stereotypes too, you know what I'm saying, through my work. And I want them to see, as a man, you can express yourself. You don't have to
hmm.
hold it in. You don't have to, implode. You know what I'm saying? Like if you feel a certain way, they see me talk how I talk about their mom, they see how I talk about the world, they see how I talk about my people, they see how I talk about them. And in turn, I'm hoping that means when they get older and they get to a point where they have positions and they have power and they have platforms, that they're able to communicate too. And I mean that just not even in widespread, I mean that just even in the home, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying, like within their friend circles, within their love lives, within their work lives, whatever it may be able to communicate.
Train up a child in the way they should go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And speaking of seeds, where did this whole idea of the florist, flowers,
Man,
when did you get your green thumb?
never that. I think the the first the first year that I did Flowers for the Living is actually not even on YouTube no more. It was 2010. So like this year we celebrated 10 years of FFTL in its iteration now, but the first
Congratulations.
iteration of it was, thank you, I appreciate it. This has been a, man, that's a lot of work, a lot of dedication, man. But like 2010, I was doing it just as myself. Like it was just spoken word. It was no music, no nothing. It was just me in like all these random various settings, just saying love poems. And my whole idea was because it ends on Valentine's Day. So it goes from February 1st through the 14th.
Mm-hmm.
My birthday is February 13th. And I always talk about it in terms of Valentine's Eve. And that's why I got, so much love in my heart and yada, yada, yada. But Black History Month is a huge thing to me. Like ever since I was a kid, I've been just enamored with Black History Month. I thought it was so cool, and just learning about my people was just so important to me. But that's why I wanted to have it in February, and going from the 1st to the 14th, and with it ending on Valentine's Day, I thought it was great to label it Flowers for the Living, because romantically, it almost feels like you're getting, a different per day, and then it just kind of, so that was the initial idea behind it. Like, I'm going to continue, because I've always wanted to spread love with my gift, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to, but I've always tried to be creative about how I'm doing that, because, poetry can get boring, man. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, just with anything, repetition anywhere without creativity or without being innovative, it may be cool at one point, but if you don't stay sharp, if you don't create it in new ways, it can get boring. And I wanted to create different content, you know what I'm saying? And so that was the initial idea. And once it blossomed, no pun intended, like it just turned into so much more, you know what I'm saying? So, where it's at now, man, is who I've always been as an artist, but it's just so beautiful to see it continue to grow though.
And that role and that theme is still growing. You started Black Roses and Black Oak, another way of paying homage, giving flowers to people who you feel those that look like you, that are doing incredible things. Mm-hmm. What was the moment where you were like, all right, I want to talk about Issa Rae, I want to talk about Hebrew? What was that feeling?
Man, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I got some really like great news that I'm just waiting in the tuck for, man. But I'm waiting for the ink to dry before I can talk about it. But it's I'm excited. But the whole thing with that was, again, me, I'm always trying to create different ways for you to enjoy my work. You know what I'm saying? And different ways for me to spread my work in the way that I intended to, So for me, being intentional about these flowers and making sure, because I'm very big on, I want to talk about people while they still here.
Yep.
I don't want us to forget, you know what I'm saying? Like, we get to getting real sentimental and finding all the words, when people leave here, but it's people doing some amazing things right now. And
absolutely.
And sometimes that journey is hard when you feel like people don't recognize it, or people aren't saying the things, you know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of people that feel the same way that I feel about these people, but they don't have the words. And that's my job as the poet. I'm putting form to sentiment, you know what I'm saying? And the first person was Rhapsody. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what, man, I love her work so much. Me and her boys got to be a part of one of her music videos before. And we have a mutual, Cam B, my homeboy, he's a videographer, he's done videos for her and yada, yada, yada. I'm like, you know what? I want to talk about her, but I want to be very intentional about it and let her know. And Eve had just got snubbed at the Grammys. And so I felt the way, and I was like, man, I just want her to know that her folk appreciate her, you know what I'm saying? And when we did the video and she saw it, not only did she see it, she sent me a DM and like she put it up on IG, put it up on Twitter. The way she reacted, I was like, oh, okay, all right, you know what I'm saying? And it immediately, I said, it don't take much for me. I immediately like, this is gonna be a series. Nope, this is gonna be a series. You know what I'm saying? And I knew off top that it was gonna be Black women, and then it was gonna be Black men. I was gonna do the Black women first, because I think that's important to put Black women first.
Absolutely.
They get asked so many times, you know what I'm saying? So I wanted to do the Black women first and the Black men, and then the pandemic hit. I was doing one a month, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, what is going on? And then I was like, you know what? One pandemic don't stop no show.
Absolutely.
I went away from my professional videographers and all of that to the message is the message. And if they see it, they're gonna see it. I'm gonna shoot it on my iPhone. I'm gonna do it, with my boys. I'm gonna get my own little equipment and make it happen. And lo and behold, they got this kept seeing, you know what I'm saying? D-Wade saw his. And I remember when Ava DuVernay saw hers, man, and I was in the gym. I had to stop what I was doing because I got so emotional. And I was talking to my sister and whatnot, like tears was forming in my eye, man, because she was so thankful. And like, that's somebody that's just so like, ugh, hey, she a dog, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the emotion was this, I think it hit its climax at when I did D-Wade's and he saw his and put it up, like, because I thought he wasn't gonna see it because the day had passed and whatever. But I woke up Sunday to like all these messages and whatnot, and I was like, what is happening? And I went to open IG, and he had put it up on his page, not just his story, like he put it up on his page, and I was like, oh, so I'm already like taken aback. So I'm cooking breakfast, and I see Tracy Ellis Ralston put it in her story, his video, and I'm like, okay, now this is crazy because I didn't think she was gonna see hers. Yeah. So just on a whim, I shot a DM like, hey, I know you love that, but here's yours. You know what I'm saying? Maybe, man, she immediately hit me back, was like, wow, posted hers. I had to stop cooking the breakfast, bro. I went around the corner, I started crying. You know, because it just at that point, it don't even have nothing to do with like proximity to celebrity and yada yada yada. It's in that moment, you're thinking about your career. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been at this for 17 years, nonstop. My brain ain't took a moment out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's been head on discipline. I haven't wavered. I haven't moved away from my path, from my mission, from my statement, from my goals, and the way that I move. You know what I'm saying? And in that moment, you feel seen. Like, damn, wow, millions of people then scroll past or stop or in some kind of way been exposed to what you're trying to do. Yeah. And all you've been asking for. I remember when I was younger, man, I came home from an open mic one night, and I was just so worked up and I was just so emotional. And I went down to the basement and I started performing at the top of my lungs and I started crying because I was just so worked up because my whole thing, I just asked God, I'm like, man, would you please just let the world hear me? Yeah. I just want the world to hear me. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever they want to do with it after they hear me, if they want to walk away or they want to embrace it, cool, but just give me the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? In that moment, you're thinking about that moment, like, wow, finally, you know what I'm saying?
No, like, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. It's beautiful. I've watched a couple of the videos, and the first 10 seconds, you're like, oh, this is coming from the heart. This is really coming from the heart. And I think it's even more powerful that your boys are right there. Speaking to your point earlier, they're there every step of the way. I saw you did the patty cake with your youngest, and one of it might have been your oldest son, you had let it slip, like you asked your son what he wanted to be, and like the third thing was a poet, and you were like, so your impact is being felt.
Yeah.
And one thing that I have, another principle is your discipline. Yeah. I know in 2013 you challenged yourself in 2014 that you were going to write a poem every day, and you got to mid-March. The quarantine really showed like who has that discipline, who has that fire, who has that hunger.
Absolutely.
Did those 30, 60 days, 90 days, did that somewhat help you, make you better equipped to deal with a pandemic?
You talking about the challenge that I did?
Yeah, the challenge that you did to write a poem.
The whole year. It wasn't.
You didn't stop.
65. Yeah, it was a poem every single day.
Oh, let me delete that note.
Yeah, I was like 30, 60, 90 days. No, it was 365. And some of them,
my apologies.
I doubled up, man. And it absolutely got me prepared. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think because of my sports background, I'm always in training mode. You know what I'm saying? Like everything feels like, and it's so funny because like my wife be laughing at me and stuff, and like I know I always be looking wild because even like how I have my boys work out and how I like approach working out, I don't look at it as I'm out here trying to be fine or something or be a bodybuilder. It's really I'm training for life. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is like circular. Everything connects for me. You know what I'm saying? So like when I actually physically work out, I'm working out not only for like to make sure I have a stamina for like physical activities, but also to make sure I have mental stamina. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like whatever this world throw at me, if I can physically get over a hump, if last week I couldn't hit 205 on the bench, but this week I'm hitting 215, then that means in life, if something's throwing an obstacle, if I couldn't do it last week, I know from experience, like the way that I operate, I'm gonna be able to conquer it next week. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So with the year of writing, I knew if I run into a writing block or I run into a mental obstacle, I can get over it. Because it was plenty of times during that year where I was like, what I'm about to write, I don't even know
Yeah.
what to talk about today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's prepared me for so many things. And I've been so thankful for that moment because as an artist and as a creative, I'm good with whatever. Whatever
Yeah.
you throw at me, I can it's whatever, man. I'm ready.
Creatives do adapt. So I am going to ask a basic question. So when are we going to get the 365 pages of poetry? Like, will you ever even like a calendar series, like
Yeah,
how they do the calendars? Like, oh,
yeah.
would you have you thought about releasing the?
I thought about so many things. I did, man, and then I was just like, I don't even know. And
Yeah.
what I really hate, what I really should have done, I should have dated them, and that was really the problem. I didn't date them.
Mm,
I have so many, as you could imagine, I have so many like notebooks
mm,
and that I filled, and I know the ones that was during that time, but I wish I knew the order. You know what
okay.
I'm saying?
Okay.
So I
Okay.
don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I may do something still, but I had a lot of ideas back at that time, but then there's been so many projects ever since.
Yeah.
But you just kind of sparked my thought process again, though.
Okay. Okay. I would love to see that. If not, if you want to just give me a copy, that's fine. That's fine. I'd be like, hey, babe, it was a warm night. Did you think? anyway, speaking again to that discipline, you were a creative writing instructor at Grambling and at University of Chicago. What were those days like? Creating curriculum for the youth.
Man, it's always a joy and a pleasure. Like first of all, like I've been, teaching creative writing for a minute, but like that University of Chicago gig, I thought I was in my bag so hard. Like I had my own. First of all, I'm on University of Chicago campus. That's like, that's like the Harvard of Chicago. So I'm like,
That's true.
hey, I'm big time, big dog. Like, what you
You
mean?
see
Like,
me. You see
I
me.
got, you know what I mean? Like, I had my own room. I
Mm,
had like the smart TV and all of this, you know what I'm saying? I had all of this stuff. I was like, yo, I gotta find my way to University of Chicago because
mm,
but it was just a really cool experience because it's always different. Because some summers I may be teaching low income students who have not been exposed to fine arts or creative writing, or the only poetry they may know is what they're being taught in a lit class that may be very minimal.
mm,
I may have kind of skimmed over it, whatever, may not even been paying attention. It's not until they get to me that they actually like, oh, somebody that sound like me, and somebody that's giving me examples that I can like relate to. And then there's and then there's times where I'm in like juvenile detention centers where I'm talking to guys who, that's a whole nother thing. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And then on the other extreme of it, you had those University of Chicago moments where I'm, engaged with students who they college level at that point. You know what I'm saying? And it's just always fun. It's different types of fun. And I think in those moments, it's fun pushing those type of students to another level. It's always about pushing kids to another level. And I think for them, with them already being so familiar and having their own writing style and writing voice, it's like, how much better can we get? You know, how much more comfortable can you become? How much more unique can you become? Because that's a lot of the problem too. Like sometimes when you're used to it and you're abreast to like the form and you're abreast to the style, like you start sounding like people, you know. But it's
Mhm.
like, how can you find your own voice up in there? And sometimes really, I think it's better sometimes for kids who aren't really that exposed to, you know, a lot of the, you know, poetry canons and things like that, because they have you more unique voices. I have
Right.
a unique voice because I just was not into poetry. You know what I'm saying? Like my whole thing was, what got me there was HBO Def Poetry Jam.
I was just
You know
gonna
what I'm
touch
saying?
on that. Yeah. Yeah. Do you was there an artist that you remember like, all right, that man, that woman,
Absolutely.
who
Like,
was it?
first of all, Most Def hosting it,
Mm-hmm.
like was just a big deal to me. Cause like when I for the longest, people would be like, man, you remind me of Most Def, or you remind me of Andre 3000. That was like people's go-to. Those two was people's go-to. So seeing Most hosting, he just was so cool. You know what I'm saying? And like the way that it felt like he was friends with everybody that he brought up. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And I thought that was just so dope. And to see him in that space and to be a fan of his music, it really like hyped me up. And then to see people like Black Ice and Malik Youssef and
Mm-hmm.
like Amir Suleiman, and then my girl Sonny Patterson, it was just so powerful. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And for me, it was hearing people that sounded like they were from the same type of places that I came from. And it didn't sound like, you know, the sky is blue and kites flew too. You know what I'm saying? It felt like something real that I could connect to. Um, it felt like revolution music. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like how back in the 70s and whatnot, and like those Watts Fest and Isaac Hayes and Curtis Mayfield and that soul movement. That's what Def Poetry Jam felt like to me.
Okay. That's it's so much. I wish they bring back in that form those old shows. Like I
Man,
truly enjoyed
man.
Comic View. I enjoyed Def
Oh
Poetry
yeah,
Jam. I
yeah,
enjoyed The Box. And like it or
yeah.
not, I did like BET Uncut. But anyway, um, nah, it's speaking of something you can connect to. I said this when we spoke a little earlier about you speak up for Chicago.
Absolutely.
And I love that about you. You don't sugarcoat it. You be like, nah, I'm from here.
Hmm.
And we not just this one singular thing. It's a bunch of people from Chicago that make up this beautiful bouquet of black people. Can you
Absolutely.
can you speak to what being a Chicagoan means?
Man, it means, to me, it means pride. You know what I'm saying? Like when I left to go to school, when I went down to Grambling State University, and that was like my first time being that far from the city for that long and being in such a diverse space. Like,
Mhm.
so when I was down there, like it was like, you know, representatives from each of the 50 states on campus. And I just realized like the people from Chicago had a different they had a different sense of pride, but they also had a different sense of survival. You know, it just always felt like you was gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Like if you from here, you have that mentality that you just not overwhelmed. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that makes you proud. Like a lot of this stuff that we talk about that gets negative, you know, whatever is like that's cool. But Chicago is also a very beautiful city. And it's easily one of the most beautiful cities in the summer that I've
Easily.
ever seen. You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
think that's something that people forget about us, because they try to paint it in such a way that Chicago has beautiful people. Like we're proud, we're survivors, but we also know what beauty looks like, and we know how to express it because we take it in so much. You know what I'm saying? You take one ride down Lakeshore Drive in the summer, and your whole mind has just been blown. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
You can't take that in consistently and not have something in your heart, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nah, it's beautiful hearing someone be so loud
Yeah.
for Chicago and
Yeah.
that pride thing. I take pride when I hear you speak of and speak up for us. So thank you. I want to make sure that I
Man,
gave you your flowers.
thank you, brother. Because
Um,
I think it's so important, man. Because people are asked all the time, like, "Can you talk about the violence? Can you write a poem about the?" Why?
yeah,
We
for what?
we got 5,000 think pieces on that. I want to talk about something else, and if you
Yeah.
platform, that's what I'm gonna do. You know?
It's they literally try to highlight everything, like all the violence. Oh, we go shoot
Yeah.
something about an L. Oh, let's go to this block or bring this
Mhm.
person in.
Mhm.
Bro, it's more to Chicago than just
It's
that.
so much more, man.
It's
It's
so much more. And I appreciate people like you that, again, that are just so vocal about speaking on the beauty that is the entire Chicago area. Not
absolutely
just, oh, he's from the South Side. No,
right.
it's
Right.
a lot of us. It
Exactly.
is a lot of us.
Exactly.
Um, you said earlier about your destination, the journey, the mission. Have you reached your destination? And if not, no? Okay. Okay.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
one of them people. I'm on an eternal journey, and I'm not even trying to sound esoteric or nothing like that. But
Hmm.
like, I really envisioned because of the medium that I use and the discipline that I've chose, I could literally be doing this until I get up out of here. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like the last poets could put on a show right now, and people would be there. You know what I'm saying? Like if Gil Scott Heron was still around and was to put on a show, he would pack it out. You
For
know, like
sure.
there's always going to be a market for what I'm doing. You know, like
Mm.
people are always there's if done right, there's always going to be room in people's soul for words that connect. You know what I mean? And I think even the way that technology is going and the way that social media is moving and things like that, one thing that you can never resimulate is sentiment. Like that is
Okay.
what separates humans from the robots. You know what I'm saying? Like you can create all the algorithms you want and whatever, whatever, but there's something about human sentiment that can just not be recreated. And that's
Absolutely.
that's that's the business that I'm in, you know?
I hope you continue. I hope you live long and can continue to write this poetry, release that book. That yeah, I want to see that. I want you to be loud and vocal in your late years.
Yeah.
We do have one thing in common though.
Yeah.
We both were born in a beautiful month,
A
the
beautiful
greatest
month.
month,
A
the
beautiful,
great,
a beautiful black month.
a beautiful Black Love Month.
Yes, sir.
You you put up a humble post because you normally do flowers for the living every February, but for this one you decided to be like, I didn't mean to post this, but it is my birthday. It's Valentine's Day Eve. Um, how did you celebrate your birthday this year?
Man, at the house.
Right?
And it's so funny, man, because honestly, I know people love birthday posts and they love
Mhm.
like if they ain't said nothing to you all the time that they've been friends with you on social media, when they see it's your birthday, they gonna say something. So I knew the best promotion that I was gonna have for that album. Let me
Mhm.
put up an actual birthday post. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know it's gonna get traction. You know what I'm saying?
for
But
sure.
like that day, man, we went and grabbed Papa Do's. Like we went, curbside pickup, grab Papa
Mhm.
Do's. We ain't, we've been real like in the house. You know what I mean? So we curbside Papa Do's. We went over to my parents' house and we had dinner with my boys because my sons they were over there,
Mhm.
and my mom made me a fruit pizza. So I talk about that on the album. Like when I was a kid, she used to make me and my sister this thing called fruit pizza. It's like sugar cookie like for the dough, and then like
Mhm.
a cream cheese, um topping, whatever, and then it's fruit all the way around.
Yeah.
And she would bring it to our school and like serve it to us and our classmates, you know what I'm saying, for our birthdays. And it was just so cool. Like she just went out of her way. And it was just a very fond memory of my childhood. And that weekend, the album came out. It's a song on there called Mama's Kitchen.
I was just gonna say that you reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Appreciating those moments with the crust when Granny getting the
Exactly.
crust out of your eye. Those little things. I'm like, wait, I was just listening to this song. Yeah. Nah, it's to bring it full circle, you having your sons along on the journey with you will have a greater impact than you can't even imagine.
Yeah, man.
Because when a child sees that done the right way, the respectful way,
Yep.
they take all of that in. So I appreciate you sharing your spending some time with me today. Thank you. I just want to make sure that you got your flowers. You know,
Man, I appreciate that so much, brother.
yeah. I appreciate you and keep doing what you're doing, man, because you are definitely having a positive impact on Chicagoans and across this world. That's been another episode of Homegrown the Series. I'm your host, Emmanuel Davis. Thanks for watching.